Yes, y'all. Hey, Lily, some kinfolk don't need to be slow. Yeah. Mama Mary going off to work. Now her house in unsafe space. Yeah. Hey, Lily, your kinfolk, I show baby daddy's coming home. Your baby daddy, to shame on criminal stay. Look here, hey Lily, don't think I've been in a fishing ship. So made this song service you a sword. We said, hey Lily, you know nobody gonna do you like Jesus. You know nobody are gonna do you like the Lord. Y'all ready? It's his it's complicated. It's such understatement, y'all. Just say it's complicated. It's an understatement. Drop me right here, y'all. Sorry, Lily. You know I don't like to use the word slow. And anybody who does, I got a whole problem with me. Drop it out again right here, y'all. Hey, forgive Lily. Baby daddy do what baby daddy know. Had it not done what did, tell me where would I be? Just hey, it's complicated. It's an understatement. Just it's complicated. It's such an understatement. My favorite part, gang, 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 on gang, 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 go on gang, 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 go gang on gang, 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 go gang, 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 on gang, gang, yes sir. Gang, 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 go gang, 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 go on gang, 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 go gang, 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 go on gang, 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 go gang, 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 go gang, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. It's so complicated. It's so y'all complicated. Hey, it's hell. Get out. Complicated. It's so complicated. Complicated. Hey, last time, y'all. Last time. It's so complicated. Hey!
What a terrific performance that was. Please congratulate Avery R. Young and the Deacon Board, who were part of the city's new Chicago band roster. And it's also a reminder that 2021 is the year of Chicago music, which we'll hear more about a little later. Good afternoon, I'm Rock Schulfer. I'm the Executive Director of Goodman Theater, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this long-anticipated day for our cultural community. The pandemic has had a devastating impact on our society and our world, and that includes our cultural organizations and workers. Since our mission involves gathering people together in close quarters to encourage understanding, promote knowledge, and provide entertainment, we were among the first industries to close to promote public safety, and among the last to reopen. But art and culture is the fabric of society, and artists and cultural groups have worked to find new ways to communicate. Goodman Theater has never stopped providing productions and education programs during the pandemic, reaching over 200,000 individuals and creating new initiatives that will permanently increase access to our work, thanks to our artists, staff, and board. Our newest initiative premieres next week, Live from the Goodman, a series of 3 plays performed live in our Owen Theater and streamed online to audiences in their homes. The first production is Adam Rapp's acclaimed new play, The Sound Inside, directed by Artistic Director Robert Falls. Furthermore, I'm thrilled to announce the Goodman's return to live performances with audiences in August with the resumption of Jocelyn Bio's terrific new play, Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, directed by Lillian Brown. This is the production that was on stage when performances were suspended, on stage on this very set. It's now my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce the person whose leadership of our city during the pandemic has been extraordinary, whose advocacy for Chicago's cultural life is exemplary, and whose love for the people of our city is unsurpassed. Please welcome the Mayor of Chicago, the Honorable Lori Lightfoot.
Folks, I don't know about you, but being in a venue and listening to live music, I still have goosebumps from hearing that incredible band. So let's give it up again for Avery R. Young and the Deacon Board for that phenomenal performance. And thank you, Rock, and the Goodman for hosting us this afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to additionally recognize the other leaders that are here with me today. Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events Commissioner Mark Kelly, Grant Park Music Festival and CEO Paul Winberg, Chicago Latino Theater Alliance co-founder and executive director Mira Salazar, Chicago Humanities Festival Artistic Director and Cultural Advisory Council Vice Chair Allison Cuddy, Millennium Park Executive Director Scott Stewart, Glenn Eden, Chair of Choose Chicago's Board of Directors, Chicago Independent Venue founder and co-chair Katie Tutton, and of course, co-owner of The Hideout. And Chicago Independent Venue League co-chair and venue owner Robert Gomez. And Deeply Rooted Dance co-founder Kevin Naiga Jeff. First to close and last to open. That has been the fate of too many of our arts and culture and music venues. And today I'm happy to announce that that's finally starting to change. Not even a week ago, I came before our city to announce the exciting launch of Open Chicago, our latest step in our mission to safely and fully reopen our city by promoting economic activity and enhancing our residents' quality of life. A critical component of this mission is revitalizing our arts and culture scene, which is essential to our ability to recover from this pandemic, both for our economic and social needs. As we're all aware, this past year has taken a particularly devastating toll on our arts and culture community, which is forced to cancel shows, close doors to its theaters, music venues, and adapt to new ways of making and sharing art. But despite these challenges, our arts and culture scene was still able to bring us joy and spark dialogue in our communities, reinforcing its place as one of the most defining features of our city. This sector has sacrificed and suffered so much over the course of the last year. Our arts and culture community is not a nicety, it is a necessity. Whether your jam is the high arts, theater of all stripes, We are a city second to none, of course, when it comes to music, but also poetry, painting, public art, and any kind of unique and innovative expression, and of course, movies and TV. We have it all here in Chicago. Arts and culture uplifts and challenges us to think, to pause and ponder, and it enhances every part of our senses and our souls. It not only feeds in our bodies and our minds, this community feeds our economy, over $1 billion every year in normal years. And we need you back. And it's only right that we be intentional about uplifting it both during and long after this pandemic is over. That's why we chose to host this press conference here at the Goodman Theater, one of Chicago's most iconic venues, which remains vital to our performing arts. That's why we made artists a key part of our signature economic development initiative, Invest Southwest. That's why we've launched several multi-million-dollar initiatives over the past several months to provide relief to our artists and arts venues, and yes, more financial support to come. And that's why we're here to announce Open Culture, the next phase of Open Chicago that will root the recovery of our arts and culture scene into larger reopening initiatives. Open Culture signals the reopening of our diverse and legendary cultural scene with music, dance, public art, markets, and more at Millennium Park and venues all across our city and every neighborhood. And as Commissioner Kelly will explain in more detail shortly, we'll be kicking off this next phase with a number of exciting summer cultural events, including both iconic Chicago traditions and brand new or reimagined programs. This includes festivals like Chicago in Tune, a new citywide festival celebrating our rich and legendary music scene, Pivot Arts Festival, and the Hyde Park Jazz Festival, live performances such as the Southside Jazz Coalition's Jazzin' on the Steps and Chicago Latin Jazz Festival, new public art and art events at the Hyde Park Arts Center, music, a Museum of Contemporary Art, Smart Museum, and the Art Institute of Chicago. Fairs such as the Old Town Art Fair, Southport Art Fair, Chinatown Summer Fair, and Printers Row Book Fair. The 2021 seasons of the Grant Park Music Festival and Chicago Symphony Orchestra, concerts at the J. Pritzker Pavilion, dance performances in Millennium Park, the return of historic city markets such as Maxwell Street, and the return of Taste of Chicago to Go, community meals, and so much more. All of these events, as with the rest of our Open Chicago programming, would adhere, of course, to the latest public health and safety guidelines, and we are a testament to our progress in slowing and stopping the progress of COVID-19. Folks, the Open Chicago announcements that we've made to date are only the beginning of our targeted efforts to safely reopen our city. And our ability to make more is contingent upon what we do right now, every day, what you do right now, every day, to fight this virus that is still very much a part of our present. We've urged you to wear masks, social distance, stay home if you feel sick, wash your hands frequently, and most recently, to go and get vaccinated. And we will continue to do all of those things. Vaccines are no longer scarce as they were even a few weeks ago. Meaning if you are over the age of 16, right now, you can schedule an appointment, drive up, or even just walk in at a location all across the city offering vaccines or get vaccinated. And let me repeat, the vaccine is safe, the vaccine is free, and the vaccine is now widely accessible. So please don't hesitate any longer to get vaccinated. To further encourage folks to get vaccinated, we are also announcing the launch of vaccination events for our arts community today. On the South Side, on May 20th from 12 to 7 p.m., arts workers can get vaccinated at the Promontory, which is located at 5311 South Lake Park Avenue. That's 53rd and Lake Park in Hyde Park. And on the north side, on May 21st, also from 12 to 7 p.m., they can go and get vaccinated at the Theater Wit, which is located at 1229 West Belmont. That's at Belmont and Southport. Furthermore, there will be mobile vaccination resources available at many of our Open Chicago summer events, making the vaccine that much more accessible, and thinking about where we were as a city last year. Announcements like these seem very far away, if not impossible. But now they are very much real. They are the rewards for our persistence over this last year, your commitment, your dedication, your sacrifice, and will make our return to normal that much closer and much, much clearer. So let's keep up the good work, folks, and keep doing our part to open Chicago even more. Thank you, and it's now my pleasure to welcome up DCASE Commissioner Mark Kelly. Mark?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor, for your and the First Lady's ongoing support of Chicago's creative community. I, too, am just thrilled to be here in this moment in a theater, in the Goodman Theater, and to know that the Chicago theater community, the fearless soul of Chicago, is about to come back to all of our stages. And then to hear Avery R. Young and the Deacon Board and the power of Chicago music and the Year of Chicago Music, this is a very exciting moment. Chicago's arts landscape has been devastated by the pandemic. We all must do our part to support the recovery of this vital sector, which is so necessary to our economy and to our sense of belonging. That's why I'm so proud of Mayor Lightfoot's Arts 77, Chicago's Arts Recovery Plan, announced just last week, an unprecedented $60 million investment in the future of arts and culture in this city. I'm also thrilled to know that the arts will be on the leading edge of the city's reopening as our music clubs, theaters, and festivals come back to life and energize Chicago. There is so much to be excited about as the arts return. During this Year of Chicago Music, our Chicago in Tune Festival will emerge, the first annual Chicago in Tune Festival, will emerge as a joyous month-long celebration of Chicago's music landscape. August 19th until September 19th, with this citywide festival, we will establish Chicago as one of the great world music capitals as we celebrate our amazing music scene and our array of great music clubs and venues. So everyone loves music, and this festival will embrace all of our neighborhoods. It'll embrace all the genres of music in Chicago, from classical to hip hop and jazz and gospel and blues and experimental and indie, and it goes on. And we're all going to come together. I see this as the big breakout moment for the city, embracing music and the Chicago in Tune Festival as the city is alive with the love of music and the Chicago music landscape. And in addition, our band roster and Chicago Presents grants program will animate our entire city with music, theater, and dance, free cultural performances peppered throughout the city. Here's just a few of the other DCASE summer activities we're announcing today, and they include Millennium Park summer programming, made possible in part by the Millennium Park Foundation, will include pop-up music, theater, and dance performances throughout the park starting in June, plus 10 more genre-defined concerts as part of the Millennium Park Summer Music Series beginning in August. Dance performances in Millennium Park by American Ballet Theater presented by the Auditorium Theater, as well as Dance for Life presented by Chicago Dancers United. In total, we'll have over 40 major productions on the Pritzker stage and scores of performances peppered throughout the park this summer. And then there's more. We're going to have Chicago Summer Dance, our iconic Chicago Summer Dance, will be in neighborhoods across the city with lessons and live music. We'll have major new public artworks by Nick Cave and Bob Faust, as well as Andrea Carlson and other celebrated artists. The return of Chicago city markets, including the historic Maxwell Street Market. The return of Taste of Chicago to Go, community meals and more as we celebrate our culinary scene in the restaurant industry. And dozens of other free and affordable cultural activities presented by us and many others downtown and neighborhoods across the city. Culture is coming back to Chicago big time. All summer events will adhere to the latest public health and safety guidelines. DCASE will announce more summer programming details, including its artist lineups, instructions in the coming weeks. Be sure to watch the city's websites and choosechicago.com for more information to come. The arts may have suffered greatly, but the arts will also bring us back into the public realm. Now it's my pleasure to introduce two friends and cultural leaders. First, Paul Winberg, President and CEO of the Grant Park Music Festival, and then Myrna Salazar, co-founder and executive director of the Chicago Latino Theater Alliance. Now, Paul Winberg. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Kelly, and thank you, Mayor Lightfoot, for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Grant Park Music Festival and really the city's cultural community, representing thousands of artists, administrators, production staff, all of whom are ready and anxious to play a key role in driving the spiritual and economic reawakening of what we hope to be a post-pandemic Chicago. The Grant Park Music Festival is thrilled to partner with the City of Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events and the Chicago Park District to support the mayor's Open Culture, Open Chicago initiative. Most of you know that the festival was established back in 1935 by the Chicago Park District at the height of the Great Depression, another worldwide cataclysmic event. And the mission of the festival at that time was to provide artists employment, but at the heart, it was to uplift the spirits of weary Chicagoans during a very difficult and painful time. And here it is 87 years later, and the Grant Park Music Festival board, staff, musicians of the orchestra and chorus are carrying that mission forward into 2021 as we help the city heal. Earlier today, we were able to announce the return of the festival to Millennium Park and to neighborhoods reaching every corner of the city. This summer, over the course of 8 weeks, the festival will produce more than 100 free concerts and educational events for children and adults of all backgrounds and means, with a special focus on the city's Year of Chicago Music and Invest Southwest initiative. We return with free choral and orchestral programs, open rehearsals, neighborhood concerts, children and family programming, and professional development initiatives for young, aspiring musicians of color. We can't wait to safely welcome audiences back this summer to one of the first major live music events in the Pritzker Pavilion since September of 2019. And what better way to mark that occasion than with a special Independence Day celebration, not only honoring the country's 244th birthday on July 2nd, but maybe independence from this. So Mayor Lightfoot, I hope you'll be able to join us for that opening night celebration on July 2nd. Thank you again for this opportunity to be with all of you this afternoon. It's such an honor to be part of today's announcement focused on arts and culture and the vital role we will play in the reawakening of our great city. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Myrna Salazar of the Chicago Latino Theater Alliance.
Two minutes, huh? Well, we'll see. My name is Myrna Salazar, the co-founder and executive director of the Chicago Latino Theater Alliance, and I will be speaking on behalf of the Latino theater and the Latino theater artist community in Chicago. As we all know, Mayor Lightfoot, I'm sorry. Commissioner Kelly, I'm sorry that I should have honored you first. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this press conference. I'm excited and very hopeful that we will be having an amazing year in welcoming theater artists back to their stages. The lights are on today. I feel very, how do you say it? I'm overwhelmed to be on this stage when I normally sit on those seats. And as a frustrated actress, I am having a ball. Muy buenas tardes. During the pandemic, our communities, the Latino community, have been hurting. And as you know, 40% of Latinos have been ravaged by the pandemic. We have been faced with many challenges. In our cultural programming, the very thing that feeds our soul and elevates our spirits, were put on a pause. But as Latinos do, we persevere. The Chicago Latino Theater Alliance last year, in September, in the middle of the pandemic, created Destinos al Aire. We kind of recalibrated our programming so that we can bring bring audiences to a live performance of 9 theater companies at Chi-Town Drive-In. And because the event was so successful, they have asked if we can continue to do those types of events throughout the community. We're going to be partnering with the Nights Out in the Park in late November, early December, so we can bring some of the cultural spirit of the various Latino cultures, Colombianos, Cubanos, Puerto Ricanos, Mexicanos, their music, their traditions, and their stories. We work diligently to bring the theater in whatever capacity we responsibly could to find light in such dark times, from drive-in, live events, and streaming web series on the internet. Now we look forward to welcoming you back in our spaces. There's not too many Latino theater venues in Chicago. We partner many times producing the International Latino Theater Festival called Destinos, which is one of its kind in the Midwest and very few around the country, and we partner with organizations like the Goodman Theater. And by the way, the Goodman Theater was the lead sponsor for Destinos al Aire back in September, which was very successful. God, I'm nervous. I'm never like that. It's been 14 months since I've been in front of an audience. And I wanted to say thanks to the Choose Chicago. Kudos to you. You were all over the media as we're bringing back a very big event, which is the car show in July, and I'm part of that board, so I am very pleased to say that I'm very excited, and I wanted to say thank you to the arts community that have given so much support through arts relief programming to the city of Chicago, to Mayor Lightfoot and to DCASE for knowing the need, where the need goes, and we hope that you continue to support Latino theater in Chicago. We have many stories to tell after this pandemic. We will be having an event, our first event, June 19th at it's Puerto Rican actress, television, stage, and film actress from Puerto Rico, where she will be doing a storytelling comedy show, Sola en la Pandemia Está Cañón, which is alone during the pandemic is I can say the other words. So thank you so very much for having me here, and we look forward to seeing all of you in our theaters. Thanks.
That's all right. I'm self-sufficient. Happy to take any questions that you might have.
Hi, Mayor. Heather
Hi, Heather.
Sharon, WTTW. I have an on-topic and an off-topic. Sure. On-topic, any news about the Air and Water Show that was missing from today's announcement, and I get calls all the time about it.
Yeah, look, as I said before, all of these events that take a very long lead time, we have been in conversation with the organizers and the producers for some time, but we're not ready to kind of announce what might happen later in the summer, but stay tuned.
And a follow-up, Patrick Daley Thompson, the alderman of the 11th Ward, was indicted last week on 7 charges. Should he resign from the city council while he faces these charges?
Look, obviously, it goes without saying that anybody who is charged is entitled to a presumption of innocence. I've been very clear in my thoughts about these things. Having been a former federal prosecutor and prosecuted public corruption cases and elected officials, it's very hard for them to maintain their focus on their public life when they're facing such pressure in their private life. So I think it's going to be very difficult for him, but I want to make sure that I have adequate time to look through the charges. I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, but I'll have more to say.
Kate Chappell, NBC Chicago. I'll follow suit with the one on, one off.
Sure.
Take this off. Number one, I know you announced the vaccine-only event, the concert series. Do you foresee any of these other major events following suit with that? And do you anticipate the guidance will be the same with pass?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're talking with all these event organizers and certainly looking for opportunities to further incentivize folks to get the vaccines, whether it's exclusive events or VIP sections or so forth. So I think you're going to see a combination of things happen as we roll through the summer. But the bottom line for us is we really need to get the highest percentage of folks in the city, adults and otherwise, vaccinated as quickly as possible. That will allow us, as Myrna suggested, maybe to get rid of these at some point soon, but we want to move as expeditiously and thoroughly as we possibly can to expand the number of people who are taking advantage of this life-saving vaccine.
Off topic, do you have a comment following the conclusion of the state's attorney's office investigation into the miscommunication in the Toledo case and the resignation announcement from First Assistant State's Attorney Jennifer Coleman?
I do not. I think those are obviously questions that are better left to the state's attorney in that office.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Michelle Gallardo with ABC 7. I have 2 questions related directly to the summer scheduling. One of them is for things, for example, like the Grant Park Music Festival or other events at Pritzker Pavilion. Are there going to be any requirements of participants in terms of, registration, ticketing, limited capacity? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, let me I'm going to put Paul on the spot and I'll let him answer that because he'll have the detail. Go ahead.
Sure. So we're working very closely with the city's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. One thing that right now will look very different is that all the events in Millennium Park will require a reservation, and we are still working with actual capacity figures to sort of figure out what that will look like. But that's currently the plan for not only the Grant Park Music Festival events, but all the events taking place in the Pritzker Pavilion.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And the second question, Mayor, I believe you mentioned something about mobile vaccination units at these events. Can you elaborate more on what you envisioned that looking like?
Yes, we're very enthusiastic about bringing the opportunity for folks to get vaccinated at each of these events. We'll probably be using Johnson & Johnson for the obvious reasons. It's a one shot, but we will be advertising the opportunity to get vaccinated on site in conjunction with the advertising of these events. The location will be obvious and will obviously accommodate the need for the 15-minute waiting period. But we've seen in other places across the country that this has been used with great success, and we're going to basically ramp up our offerings of mobile vaccine as well. We're already doing that. We were doing it somewhat before the pause with Johnson & Johnson. We're going to accelerate those efforts now.
Hi, this is Eric Ettinger with the Hyde Park Herald.
Yes,
Last
sir.
night, 4 black alderwomen, King, Hairston, Taylor, and Haddon, had a town hall about the Anjanette Young ordinance that they're pushing alongside some others. They're all under the opinion that the city council and the city needs to codify changes to warrants and searches into law rather than in policy. Obviously, there's been policy changes in the police department saying that it needs to be done because of possible capriciousness of changing leadership and with mayoral administrations. I wondered, since you have ordered policy changes at the police department, if you have any perspective on this opinion that there needs to be law change rather than simply policy change.
Well, as I've indicated multiple times, I'm happy to sit down and talk with any or all of the advocates for the ordinance. They launched the ordinance with a press conference, which was the first that I or anybody in the police department knew anything about it. I am dubious about codifying policy that should be born of a process obviously dictated by the consent decree that requires nimbleness and a lot of engagement with the community. If we make it static, as in a city council law, that would be precedent number one, but I think it would inhibit the ability of the department to respond nimbly to changing circumstances that might warrant some quicker action than what might be able to be done through city council process. As you know, some weeks ago, the department announced a very robust set of changes to its search warrant policy. I think that those were responsive not only to the circumstances of Anjanette Young, but others for whom there were these so-called wrong raids, but also tightened up a lot of other areas in the search warrant policy to make sure that senior members of the department were signing off on search warrants and not just at the sergeant level as had been happening before, making sure that the right personnel with the right training were actually executing the search warrants and not just having routine members of the police department do that. So I think there were a lot of significant changes that responded not only to the circumstances that we saw in some of the reporting, but also just comport more with best practices across the country. I've taken a look at that ordinance, and it doesn't seem to have been written by somebody with a lot of experience and background in local policing and best practices. So I think there's some real challenges there. I know that the chairman of public safety also has spoken to some of the sponsors about some of his concerns, but we'll sit down and have a conversation. I'd like them to actually also respond to what we put out for public comment, because we're moving that to conclusion relatively soon.
Alderman King told me last night that she wants to compromise with you on it to get the bill passed, or to get the ordinance passed.
I have not heard from Alderman King. The only one that I've heard from is Alderman Haddon, and to a lesser extent, Alderman Hairston. More than happy to sit down with any or all of them, but I've not heard directly from Alderman King about this.
Thanks all. That's all the time we have.
Okay. Did you, Heather had, I think. Now, don't make me regret this, Heather. I give you the last question. Yeah. Go ahead. There you go.
Sydney Roberts of COPA just announced her resignation, not giving a reason. Can you tell me why she resigned? Did you request her resignation? And how will you handle filling not only the chief administrator's role at COPA, but also the CPS CEO and several departmental heads? It's a lot of turnover.
Well, look, this has been a very tough year, I think, on a lot of people. We're coming up to the 2-year anniversary, and I think a lot of people are taking stock about where they are. As I said the other day regarding CPS, particularly that institution in particular, is not built to be determined solely by the leadership. This is a big organization, lots of layers of staff and great professionals who will continue on as we continue our search. Regarding Sydney Roberts, no, I did not seek her resignation, but I've made no secret of the fact that I've been extraordinarily unhappy with the way that they've handled a number of things, not the least of which is taking over 18 months to move forward on an investigation regarding Anjanette Young. And a lot of that time, nothing happened. That's not acceptable. And I've been very candid, both in public but also directly, about the fact that I think COPA needs to be much more responsive, much more mindful about the fact that it carries a very important position and role in police accountability, and we've got to make sure that they move forward in a thorough but expeditious way, because as everyone knows, justice delayed is justice denied. So we will be looking to have an interim person in place at COPA, and then we'll follow the ordinance guidance on replacement of the COPA head. But I feel very comfortable about where we are as a city, as a mayor's office. We've got great people who are working their tails off every day in service of the residents of this great city. Thank you.